When you get tired, when you get fatigued, when you get down, when you're in a slump, it's your habits, rituals, routines, and your standards that carry you through.
Successful people and wealthy people have a subtle distinction. They don't look at price, they look at worth. Do your life for the leading character. You, your spouse, your children.
I remember going, all the work I put into this, all the hopes my family and I had, all the travel ball, everything we did, all the games, all the great plays, all the errors I made, the fly ball I dropped at Fullerton, you know, all that stuff. I was gonna get drafted, then I did, all that stuff, right? The guys I played with, over. Like a flicker, man. Like a flicker, that crap was over. And we're on that bus ride back, and I remember thinking, man, I should have tried harder. I should have played harder. I should have given this more. You know that stuff guys do, man. You're running sprints. There's two dudes who run every sprint full speed, and then there's the dudes who run 80%, 6 of them. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? He's kind of cool. You know, doesn't matter. I'm not the fastest guy, so no one will know when I don't win the sprints. You know those guys. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? This is a guy kind of doesn't really catch the ball on his throwing side in the outfield. When he's one, he catches it over, does everything wrong, throws it back. That's the thing that costs a guy getting thrown out at third and you lose by a run, because you just practice like that. Guy in the bullpen is kind of like not really focused. He's just kind of getting loose, right? Instead of just laser focused on everything he's doing all the time. Right? You don't want to leave here. You don't want it to end, whether it ends in the big leagues, it ends in the minor leagues, it ends here, or you never even get on the field this year. Okay? Having wondered whether you gave it all you got, because it's going to transfer into the man you become when you leave here, and most importantly, it's going to be your identity. When you get tired, when you get fatigued, when you get down, when you're in a slump, it's your habits, rituals, routines, and your standards that carry you through. And if you don't have good habits, you don't have good rituals, you don't have good routines, always in your life you will fall down in bad times, in slumps and fatigue and in stress.
You ever go to the movies, and at the end of the movie they scroll down like the leading characters' names, and then what do they do if you keep watching it? Cab driver number 2, bouncer at the bar number 1. You ever see those faceless people? Far too many of you in your life are obsessed with what cab driver number 2 and bouncer number 1 think about what you're doing, instead of the lead characters. You're obsessed with what other people think about you. The thing that's gonna kill your dream is your addiction to other people's approval. And cab driver number 2, he ain't gonna approve of what you're doing. And at the end of your damn life, he's not gonna show up in any of the important chapters. Yet you give him all this power all the time. Stop giving people power who aren't in your book. Do your life for the leading character. You, your spouse, your children, your parents, your legacy. They're the lead characters in the story of you, of your life. Because the more you decide to take control of the narrative, of the script of your life, and you live your dream, the more likely at the end of your life, you're gonna meet that dude.
Most people's will to win is for sale. It's for sale.
Most people's will
is for sale.
To win is for sale.
They can be bought. I can't be bought. So if we give you just, most people, if we gave you just enough money, if there's a certain dollar amount, you'd stop working hard.
Wow,
we give you a title, you'd stop working hard. We give you a car or a plane or a house.
Dude,
or
that's the book, bro.
That's the book. Is that the book? Yeah, that might be the book.
That is the book.
And so
your will to win is for sale.
That's right. And I decided once I realized that, because I watch it happen with people in their body and their finances and their family and their faith, whatever it is, I went, I'm not for sale. So there isn't a place you're going to buy me. You can't get me. There's not a stop, a place, a destination where you're going to get me to relent, to quit. I want to improve. That doesn't mean I don't struggle with my motivation from time to time. Doesn't mean I don't get confused or down. Of course I do, but I'm not for sale. You can't buy me. And you know this too. We see friends of ours, even guys in their 60s, and they sold their company for blah, 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 and now they golf 9 days a week or whatever. You know, that's fun, but they're for sale. They were bought. You were bought. You were for sale. I'm not for sale.
I kind of grew up in that space that is dangerous because it's like a slow asphyxiation, right? I grew up what I'd call like middle class, but probably the lower side of middle class too. So I think I've told you this, I think there's an advantage sometimes to growing up rich because you got connections and you see the right behaviors modeled maybe. When you're poor, a lot of my buddies that are successful now that were poor, they knew what they didn't want. They were fighting, they learned to struggle. They grew up sooner, right? They couldn't make excuses. They had to learn to be self-resilient. The middle's difficult because good's the enemy of great, right? And so it wasn't horrible. It wasn't like there wasn't food on the table. It wasn't like I didn't get a present on my birthday, right? So you kind of start to think that's what life is. No one in my family ever talked about dreaming or winning or being wealthy. Same time, we weren't really running from something either. So there was no stimulus. The stimulus when you're poor is to get out of there. The stimulus when you're rich is to replicate it. There was no stimulus from where I'm from. And so probably the rarest background when you meet somebody that's successful is the middle. It's actually the rarest that you meet somebody, they're from the middle. And so a lot of your listeners come from that place because most people are in the middle, right? And so I'm sort of, I think, an example of some of the things maybe you would need to do to get out of that space to move from good to some form of greatness in your life.
Yeah. It's comfort, right? That
Yes.
word comfort can be a killer, right?
true.
And so that's exactly why I wanted you to point that out, is because so many of us do come from that, and also we're maybe existing in it right now.
So true.
And how important is it to stretch ourselves and to really kind of get comfortable with discomfort?
You do, you need to do that. Malcolm X is a guy that I've read a lot about, and Malcolm X, my favorite quote of Malcolm X is that which you do not hate, you will eventually tolerate. And so there has to be this point in your life where what you want is so much greater than where you are. You're in such discomfort. In other words, the gap between what you're dreaming of, what you're destined to do, what you're capable of, you're aware of it compared to where you are. That tension between the two has a pull power to it, right? And so it's important all the time that wherever you are in life, that you're chasing that next version of you. There's this thing I'm just unbelievably passionate about. That is that I have this theory that I've told you this before, but that I think that at the end of your life, there's this place you come to. And I'm a Christian, so I think at the end of my life, I want the Lord to go, hey, well done, good and faithful servant. It doesn't matter what your faith is. You probably are aware there's history being made or an accounting. But I also think he's going to go, hey, by the way, this is who you could have been. I think he introduces you to the person you are capable of becoming. I really believe that at the end of your life, you're going to get introduced to the person you could have been, you were destined to be, that he made you to be. And so I'm chasing that dude. Every day I'm chasing that dude. That's the pull power for me. Every decision I make, the things I go through in my life, whether I'm going to go to the gym, whether I'm going to make a phone call, how I'm going to eat, does it get me closer to that guy? Because I think the best end of a life is well done by the Lord, and you're identical twins with that person. The bad end of a life would be, I meet this man I could have been, and we're total strangers. I mean, we're just complete opposites. I know nothing about this guy. There's no familiarity at all. And it means that I went down these easy roads. I took the comfortable road. The comfortable road will never lead you to the person you are destined to be, ever in your life. And so I don't know if you don't become obsessed with chasing that person, you end up never meeting him.
This morning was very unusual. Number one was the water was unusually cold this morning, really cold. And the waves were huge, very big waves this morning. And both of those things made me think about business. And there's an application for you that I wanted to share with you. The first one was just getting into the water this morning. It was freezing. And when I had to get in there, I had to make a decision. How do I get in? Do I kind of take my time where I go my feet in first, kind of get adapted, and then come out, get adapted, go back in up to my waist, get a little warmer, then come back in up to my neck? You get the deal. But all that would do is extend the pain. All that does, it's logical, it makes sense. Don't go until you're ready, take your time. But really all that does, what does that really do? That extends the pain. And so I didn't do that. I did what the pros do, right? Which is what people do in every endeavor that are champions, is I ran, boom, right in, headlong, right into the water, right? You dive in, boom, there's a shock. But then you get adapted so much more quickly than you could possibly imagine, and then you're off to riding the waves. Well, the same is true in business. The champions in everything, I don't care if it's your fitness, if it's your family, your faith, you name it, the way that you get great at something is you dive into it and get adapted quickly, and you'll be surprised at your ability to adapt and navigate your way through success. The average people in everything, frankly, the people who lose are the ones who constantly take their time. They're too logical. They think, well, I can't do this until I'm ready. If I'm not ready, I'll mess it up. And I don't want to get, it's too cold, it's too freezing. Well, the truth is in business, that's not how it works. If you go slow, you're extending the time you're in pain. And worse yet, well, the champions have already dove in, got acclimated, they're out there riding their waves, making progress. You're still on the shore deciding whether you're going to get ready to get ready. And so if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, you're somebody getting associated with my firm, which is a wonderful decision, by the way. But if you're going to decide that, You've got to decide that and go and trust the fact that you have your instincts, your background, your training, your mentors, the system around you. And that's true whether you're an entrepreneur in my business or you're one of these firms that I've spoken to on the outside. I want to encourage all of you, if you're going to get into business and go. You'll be amazed at your capacity to evolve and to adapt and to succeed.
When I was poor, everywhere I went, flip the price tag on. What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? I was constantly negotiating the price for everything in my life. You do that when you come from a place of scarcity, of being poor. Successful people and wealthy people have a subtle distinction. They don't look at price, they look at worth. Is this worth it? If you're constantly looking at the price tag, you'll eventually relent. You'll eventually give in. Stop negotiating the price. It's a freeing experience to totally commit. When you totally commit to a relationship, to a business, to your fitness, to your faith, it's a freeing, powerful, it's almost like removing kryptonite from your life when you totally commit. Can you do that? The people around you always talk, it's costing too much. It's costing too much. And you're going, maybe it's costing too much. You got to start going, no, it's worth it. It's not the price, it's the worth. It's a subtle distinction in your life.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around. If you'd like more, click the videos right here. They're exactly what you need to see next. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and become a part of the Max Out community. And tell me what you think about the videos in the comments below. I read all of them every week, and I select winners that get all kinds of prizes, gear, coaching calls with me. Make a comment.